Roseanne heard a knock on the door and was tempted not to answer. Raymond, her husband of 6 years, should have been home by now, and she was furious that the 20 centimeters of snow that had fallen in the early morning while she was at work at the hospital had not yet been cleared away. The clouds cleared, a north wind picked up, and the temperature dropped like a stone. She'll be damned if she cleans the driveway herself. After seeing the aforementioned snow, she called her husband in advance to find out when he would be home, but was unable to get through. Well, everything is clear. She thought it was so like him to try to run away from work. Asshole. At the hospital, she changed into jeans and planned to relax on Sunday after an early morning and a busy day in various operating rooms and maternity wards, as anesthesiologists usually do. Since she had only been on staff for 18 months, she was required to be on duty on weekends. She heard the knock again and went to open the door, concerned that Raymond was still missing. She looked through the peephole and saw Dell standing next to an unfamiliar man in uniform. Dell, also known as Randell, was a detective sergeant in the sheriff's office in several counties north of Minneapolis, where he and Raymond grew up. She and her husband were supposed to go ice fishing that weekend. Dell was the biggest redneck she had ever met. She couldn't believe that she and her husband were best friends, and it always drove her crazy when they met. Raymond just returned to ice fishing this winter. She knew he'd done this as a teenager, but she couldn't understand why he wanted to freeze his ass off again. This may or may not have been due to his recent illness. Damn it, Dell. What the hell do you want? I thought my worthless husband was with your sorry ass. Dell was not surprised by this greeting. They never got along, especially in the last 2 years after she was caught cheating on Ray. This is not a social visit, Rosie. It's damn cold here. Can we come in? I told you I'm Roseanne. I don't like it when even Raymond calls me Rosie. So no, I don't allow you to enter. This will give you an incentive to quickly end everything. Dell sighed loudly. Damn you, Roseanne. But okay. This is Officer Tyler Perkins with the State Patrol. He has some official business that he must discuss with you. Roseanne looked up at the giant officer. She wondered where they always found these huge men to become officers. With the hat on, he looked to be over 2 meters tall, although he was probably a little under 2. Mrs. Franklin, I am very sorry to inform you that this morning your husband and his car fell through the ice. The part of the lake where he fell through is more than 45 meters deep, and the ice in this area is not considered stable enough to use large rescue equipment. Current rescue efforts have been unsuccessful, and with him underwater for so long, no one believes anyone could still be alive. In a couple of days, when the weather improves, we will try again to pull out the car and his body. Here are some photos from the scene before rescue crews arrived. The officer had a tablet and flipped through some photos where she could clearly see Raymond's tent and camp stove sitting next to a large hole in the ice that Raymond's SUV seemed too heavy to support. There were also several photos of the dive team working with light equipment that they could have used to lift the SUV if they had been able to find it earlier in the day. Rosanna said, "This is stupid shit. He doesn't even know how to fish properly. Now who's going to remove this damn snow from the driveway? I swear to God, he can't even die properly." Poor Samantha. The officer was stunned to see that this woman was completely indifferent to the death of her husband. Dell wasn't surprised. The second honeymoon, after her mother convinced Raymond to take her back, did not last long. For years, she was a harpy to Dell. I warned Ray not to go too far. This winter had not been that cold, so it was not safe to travel too far from the coast, but he continued to push his luck. Rosanna replied, perhaps the headaches from his cancer became too unbearable, and he decided to jump out of his pants and commit suicide. Dell's face showed surprise. Did you know about cancer? Of course, Roseanne replied. This idiot can't hide anything from me. He thought he was keeping everything a secret, but when I saw the hospital check for $4,000 and discovered the CT scan of his little brain hidden in his office files, I knew. At least I found them in time to get a couple different life insurance policies. Now, perhaps, is there anything else you need from me? Dell shook his head. amazed at the woman's audacity. Crap. That's cool, even for you, Rosie. I'm Roseanne, idiot. The officer tried to take control of the situation. Ma'am, we will have documents that you need to sign tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. Hopefully we'll get the body out soon. I'm sorry for your loss. Don't worry about it. Let me know when they fish his ass out and I'll give you the name of a funeral home to clean him up and roast him. Is it clear? Fish his ass out. Peel and fry. She looked at them, but they didn't laugh. Oh, calm down. He was no saint either. Have you told his mother yet? No. We are required by law to notify you first. Do you want to tell her yourself, or is it better for us to do it? We're not on the best terms, said Roseanne, so it's better if you do it. If you don't need anything else, I have work to do. For example, I need to warm up. Sorry. Both men stood with their mouths open as she closed the door on them. As they turned to leave, they heard through the door. Damn it! I told you she's just a bitch, Dell said. Karma has a way of catching people like her, Ty replied. Dell smiled and said, I hope so. Both men headed to the large Ford parked in front of a neighbor's house to return to their neighborhood. Rosanna wasted no time in calling her lover. Hey, Clint, you know, I'm free tonight. Tell your wife that the hospital called and asked you to come back. Dr. Clinton Williams, a surgeon, was always ready to have fun with Roseanne, even though they had snuck into an empty office earlier in the day for a quickie. I thought your husband was coming back this afternoon. How are you going to sneak out? You won't believe this. The state police just showed up and made me happy that the stupid shit fell through the ice and drowned this morning. I'm free from him forever. I'll take sick leave tomorrow morning. Let's go. Celebrate. Your husband just died and you want to go celebrate? Damn right. You know I couldn't stand him. Are you refusing to have sex with me? Clint wondered. He did, but Roseanne was damn good, especially compared to his conservative wife, so he wasn't going to give her the chance to replace him with someone else. If what she just said was true, then they would probably meet a lot more often in the very near future. What time do you want me to pick you up? This is my man. As soon as possible. And plan to spend the night here and I'll do it so that it's worth your time. He replied, I'll find a way. I'll be with you in an hour. It was a wild night for the two of them. Roseanne never allowed Clint to be affectionate in public because she didn't want to risk her husband or one of Della's thugs taking a photo of her in a compromising situation. But today everything was different. My husband is no more. No more stealth. No reluctance to grind and dry Clint on the dance floor. Remind me again why you stayed with your husband if you hated him so much. I told you. $3 million. My Catholic and treacherous mother felt ashamed of him when he caught me cheating and convinced him that he was too good a man to be sent back to the ocean. She then convinced him to give me another chance by changing the terms of the prenuptial agreement to prove that she was serious. At that moment, I did not hate him. The original prenuptial agreement excluded everything I brought into the marriage, such as our home and anything I could get from my parents. After the divorce, everything changed. If I divorce him for any reason, he will get half of everything. However, if he divorces me, everything will be according to the terms of the old prenuptial agreement, unless he has evidence of infidelity, which is why you and I only had to have sex in the hospital under very controlled conditions. It would be too expensive to get caught. If I catch him cheating, I go back to the terms of the old prenuptial agreement, so I kept throwing sluts at him, but he never bought it. As you know, my parents were surgeons at the Mayo Clinic and had about $6 million in assets and a pension when they died in that accident last year. I didn't want him to receive even half of this amount, so I still remained married to him. I don't understand, Clint said. If you cheated on him before, why did you stay married? I just felt so bad. At 30, I am too young to be a practicing anesthesiologist. I had never failed at anything in my life, so I wanted to prove to myself, my parents, and him that I could be a good wife. Only later did I realize that I was not cut out for monogamy and should have used it as a chance to escape. But my mother persuaded me to stay in the marriage. Stupid, I know, and expensive to this day. Kiss me, baby. After a fun evening in the town, she asked client to take her home, where they had sex. She was inspired by being free from Raymond. Exhausted and tired, they lay down next to each other and fell into a blissful sleep. At 8 in the morning, After a morning of sex in the shower, it was time for client to head home. They were still drying themselves off when they heard the garage door open and a uniformed Dell and her supposedly dead husband walked in. Dressed only in towels, Roseanne and Clint were shocked to see that Raymond was alive. Dell handed her a large manila envelope and said, "Roseanne Franklin, this is the official presentation." "Oh, and by the way, Dr. Cleet," Ray said, deliberately mispronouncing his name, "it's probably time for you to go home. I suspect that any minute your wife should receive her own envelope with photographs and video footage of your speech yesterday." Modesty be damned, Clint threw on his clothes and stormed out the door, hoping to clear things up before his wife got any incriminating information. He didn't know that it was already too late. Raymond had a big shitty grin on his face as he watched his wife's expression change from stunned to furious. "Oh, hell no, Dell. I'll sue you and the sheriff and the state patrol if I have to. You and Officer Perkins told me he was dead. This gets me off the hook." "Who exactly told you he was dead?" "Do you have proof? Ray and I spent the weekend watching sports at my house. It was too cold to fish. Samantha was not happy with us. I'll tell you a little secret, Rosie. I haven't fished under the ice since childhood. I love fishing, but not when it's cold. I'll get the phone records. I'm sure there are recordings of your calls from nearby cell towers. I'll get the patrol car footage and ask Officer Perkins to testify under oath." "Good luck, Rosie," Ray said. "See you in court." He and Dell turned to leave, grinning like idiots. Rosanna almost screamed, "No, no, no, this won't work. This was false information. I did not do anything bad." Ray and Dell continued to walk and laugh. Roseanne collapsed on the bed, unable to believe that these two idiots had outsmarted her. Returning to Ray's SUV, which apparently had not fallen through the ice, Dell asked, "Wouldn't you like to stay and watch her face when she finds out Officer Perkins isn't on the state patrol?" She never got a good look at his car and apparently failed to realize that his uniform was a very believable fancy dress. "Nah, I don't need to hang around here for that. The cameras inside the house are still working. Later I will see and hear everything. Besides, I need to go and thank Ty for the show he put on. He must be a good actor. Also, Samantha had a great idea about faking a CT scan to make Rosie think I had cancer. Ty was pleased to do this. Plus, considering you paid his insurance deductible to help his daughter get eye surgery, he felt obligated to you. This is what inspired Samantha to make the payment look like you were getting tested for cancer. I just paid in advance. Ty is too nice a guy to worry about that. Didn't you say he passed the deputy sheriff's exam?" "Yes, I passed. We must find a place for him within the next 6 months. Buying a tent that looked exactly like the one that caused the SUV to fall through the ice last year was a stroke of genius. If I didn't know better, I could have sworn that it was your tent in that photo." It was quite simple. She wanted to believe it was true, and she did. "Will you stay in Minneapolis or move closer to home?" "I think closer to home. There are several good places near St. Cloud that are only about a half-hour away. Mom will be pleased. Getting a big divorce check means I can start my own engineering company or just hire consultants on the side. Maybe as a thank you for your help, I'll send you and Liz to Cancun for your anniversary. I'm surprised she's so interested in beach vacations given her fair skin. You only mention Cancun because you hope she'll put in a good word for you to her pretty sister Angela. It's good that you're the detective and not Rosie. You can see what's coming." But she, thank God, couldn't. "Take your time to talk to Angela. I don't think I'm really looking forward to going on a date with anyone right now, but hopefully I'll be ready to meet Angela soon. I think you'll be surprised how ready you are. In addition to the previous cheating, you suspected that she had been cheating on you again for over a year. I doubt you have much love left in your heart for Rosia. Right. Mostly sadness. But that doesn't mean I'm ready for someone else. I don't think it will be too hard to convince Angela to go to Cancun with me and Samantha. You should have seen Angela in a bikini. If you join us, you will see her wearing it." The mental image of Angela in a bikini seemed rather pleasant to Ray. "Won't their fair skin burn in the sun?" Dell laughed. I don't even understand why we are so sure that you are the smartest. Samantha kept mentioning me, giving her massages while we sipped margaritas under some impressive gazebo while she listened to the crashing waves. Plus, if she wants to sit in the sun, I'll be there to ensure that sunscreen is applied thoroughly and often. If Angela is with us, it will be much better for her if you do this work, and not me or anyone else. Ray smiled, thinking about how seductive these two red-haired sisters were. The trip was starting to look interesting. Rosie hired a lawyer and a private investigator to try to document that she was deliberately tricked by officers into giving her the opportunity to free herself. But Del, Ray, and Ty covered their tracks too well. Their phones were checked, and they all had alibis for the time they allegedly visited Rosie. She could not find a single witness who saw them in her house. Given the cold that Sunday afternoon, everyone tried to stay indoors. Eventually, she was forced to give over half of all her assets, including her inheritance from her parents, to Ray. She debated using the rest to pursue him, but decided it wasn't worth it. Dr. Clint's wife was not so understanding. She immediately kicked her husband out of the house and told her father, who was on the board of directors of the hospital. Rosie and Clint were suddenly laid off and had to leave town to find work. As for Ray and Del, Cancun was great, and they really enjoyed Samantha and Angela getting regular massages and protecting themselves with plenty of carefully applied sunscreen when needed. They even managed to spend one day deep-sea fishing. What they caught that day was fun, but the best catch of the day was watching Samantha and Angela sunbathing on the spacious deck of the boat. Now this was the best kind of fishing. Please like and subscribe to the channel and you will never be cheated on.